This is the Crack King podcast. A breath of fresh air with new kicks. Crack King podcast. This is the Crack King.
All right, I'm gonna get into it one more time. This is the Crack King podcast, and I'm the Crack King, and I got my guest here, Judah 6'9", Wilder Fury 3 approaching. We just had bout with Anthony Joshua. He looked like he didn't want any smoke from that Russian. Personally, the Russian looked like Holyfield to me. What's your take on that shit?
So Joshua is he's padded. You know what I'm saying? He's a protected fighter. As soon as they put him in there with anybody right now, he don't have any confidence. You know, before when he was throwing him in there, he had I think because one of the most important things is when you're a fighter is getting knocked down and getting up.
So you think that Mexican took his heart from him, like everybody thinks?
He probably didn't have that much heart to begin with because he really believed in himself. The way he used to fight, if you look at about 4 or 5 of his fights when dudes was talking, he looked like he could walk the walk and talk the talk.
Well, he definitely had the body, but not the fucking jab. I tell you.
Well, see, there it is, right there. I always thought if Joshua fought Wilder, that Wilder would beat Joshua. Now, I always thought it would be a hard fight for him because Wilder is not a boxer, man. He's just a puncher.
Not anymore.
I mean,
not anymore.
Well, he's been training, but look, it took him losing to open up to boxing.
Clearly.
Because he can say what he want to say, and I didn't like what he did with Mark Breland. He fired Mark Breland for protecting him.
And I get that. But then it went into he felt like they poisoned him, they gave him bad advice. But when you lose and you've been having a team with you and you lose, sometimes you got to clean house.
Sometimes you do, but there's one thing that he fired Mark for. He fired him because he stopped that fight and was going to let him do no damage. Now that right there is that goes against who your manager is and who's in that corner for you. Because he was the man who was supposed to throw that in. I would have threw it in the round earlier because he looked like he was dizzy.
Yeah, Tyson Fury would have killed him in there if they hadn't stopped that fight. He'd have done significant damage to his ear and his wherever. Because to me, it looked like his eardrum was bust. He'd have had brain damage after that. He wouldn't have been right.
I think he wouldn't have been able to fight again if he didn't stop that fight
ever again.
And that right there is a thing that I don't know. He was thinking so much high on himself that he couldn't be beat, but. As they say, every man can be beaten. You don't go in the ring with that saying, yo, is this the guy? Is this the guy I'm going to put? No. You don't live life like that.
I live life like that. I live life like that every day. I think a nigga want to put hands on me, so I'm always on guard. I'm always like, yo, remember in Rocky 4? No pain. No pain.
Hey, no gain.
No pain. No pain.
No pain.
You gotta be like
it's
that.
It's one of those things where, when you out there and you getting ready to fight, and you feel the adrenaline flowing. Some people mistake the adrenaline flowing for fear. It's not fear. It's your body getting ready.
Yeah, ready for that punch.
You know what I'm saying? For the assault, for punches. But one of the punches they say, one thing Wilder needs to do is look at the great fighters. All great fighters have lost. He needs to look at how they handle it. Because boxing history, he need to talk to or look at George Foreman. George Foreman don't take nothing away from Muhammad Ali. He praises him. He tells him everything. He had things that he thought was going on behind the scenes, but does he take it away? No. And he had to learn to live with that. And he came back as a different man after fighting Ali. He changed his whole life. He went out in search of something. He said he found God. He became a reverend.
He found a George Foreman grill.
Yeah, he found that out. Shit. He ain't been down since.
And then came
He
back
ain't been
and beat
down
the shit
since.
out of a youngster and took his belts.
Yeah. Somebody who was being cocky, man.
Yeah, most definitely. You right about that. I feel like Wilder is not giving Fury his great moment because quiet as it's kept, Fury was the one who took Klitschko's heart, because at one time Klitschko was the king of boxing.
Yeah.
He could not be touched. And let me tell you something. When Klitschko first started, he was Glass Joe like a motherfucker. He took his losses.
Well, his brother was.
Well, Vladimir, the one that Joshua beat, and the one that Fury beat, Vladimir.
Yeah, Vlad. Yeah.
Vlad. What made Vlad great too is he did take those losses early, and he still bounced back and became a great champion. I can't take that from Vladimir. He had a.
That's
you know
something
what?
you have to do.
And on top of that, he got Emmanuel Stewart, the greatest trainer to ever live.
And see, Emmanuel did something to him. You know, it's like when you hear Emmanuel talking in the corners and commentating. It's one thing to hear a guy who was paid to be there, than a guy who's actually out there training these guys. A guy who's seeing things, seeing a technical part of it and bringing it in and breaking it down to us. And that's what I think Wilder needs. He needs to learn how to go in there, jab, and because he would have been a greater fighter. I think he'll be a greater fighter with a punch. I mean, if someone's not, they looking for him, gearing up for him, or how he's punching. So of course, people are gonna study tapes and watch you. He swings like a nigga in the street.
yeah, he do.
Now listen, if you see somebody in the streets and they throwing everything, listen, the harder you throw, that doesn't mean you're going to have precision with those throws and those punches. So he's not a technician. He's a guy who's a boxer, but that can't box. He's just a puncher who can punch.
You're right. But what I'm saying now is, I love Wilder. I'm a Wilder fan and I'm a Fury fan. Fury is the ultimate big man boxer. He's not a puncher.
He's a boxer.
Puncher. He's the epitome of a big man boxer.
Yeah. He's you ever know his history? Like he was named after Tyson. His father and his they all about boxing. And Tyson is a boxer. He may not. You know what happens with him? It's the same thing you were just talking about with Joshua. Joshua may have the body. Tyson doesn't fit that structure as a body fighter. He looks sloppy. He doesn't have the physique to go, but that he throws his hands. Look at the combination this man throws. For a big dude, he's jabbing, hooking, uppercut. He's putting multiple combinations together. He's a better boxer. He can outbox. He can use strategy. He's big enough to lean on people with the weight, and he can push them off. He knows how to tie people up. Come on, man. That's what you want in it. That's what you want.
I don't mean to bring this back to me, but we grew up in the bricks in Brooklyn, and if you grew up in Brooklyn, you had to have a fist fight.
Yeah, there was no way you couldn't, man.
And what I like to say is, Fury was me in my 20s when I used to have to fight these, and I'm walking around and they insult me, talking about I look like a hillbilly, until I start putting hands on them. They like, look at this motherfucker, until I start putting them punches together. So, but what I'm saying is, Wilder is training to be a boxer. I see him, he's looking good. But what's going to happen when that plan goes awry? Because I'm going to tell you something. Fury, boxing IQ is so high, he can see it coming. And when Wilder gets frustrated, which it can happen.
He's going to revert back to his old way.
See, that's what's either going to say he's a great boxer or he's not. And that's what's going to be whether he wins or not.
Well, he's not. I don't care what he does right now. He's not going to go down as a person people is going to talk about as far as top 10. He can't be.
Well, Fury,
I'm talking about just heavyweights. Yeah, he can't be because he's just a puncher. And during the golden, like, listen.
Is he the modern day Tyson?
No. Tyson is because of his name, he made his name. But one thing about Tyson that is always regarded, Tyson is a boxer, puncher. He's both. He's a mixture of both. He's just that his style, when he uses the kinetic energy that comes from your gravity. He's low base. His legs are strong, and he generates a lot of power coming up from them legs. Legs is the strongest part of our body. So when he's coming up and he's bobbing, all that generates energy plus his natural hand speed and his power. So it's like Tyson wasn't just uppercut. They like to sensationalize, but he used to come in with a defense. He's a defensive specialist. He was one of the hardest heavyweights to hit.
Yes.
He's not being known for his defense because his offense was so great. But everything that he said with his defense set up his offense.
Oh yeah. But what happened?
That's how he was trained.
What happened to Tyson to me is everyone watched Holyfield. All of the big dudes watched how Holyfield handled him and took that and applied it. And he couldn't win against the big guys anymore after Holyfield.
I don't know. I think, you know what I think happened? Honestly, I think that after he lost to Holyfield, right? When he took his license and everything,
yeah.
Even when he was in there with who he fought? He fought Lennox. Tyson was not Tyson at that time. He was forced to take medicine. So that shit was the way he was talking before fights, how he act. They said, nah, you're not getting in the ring without medicine. I don't think that's the same fire wasn't there for him in that ring.
He had the LT medicine, the cocaine before these fights. Before, when he was mollywopping niggas, just like LT would snort that cocaine and get on the field and fold niggas up. So once they stopped giving him the cocaine, I think that was the end of his career.
A breath of fresh air with new kicks on. This is the Crack King Podcast. A breath of fresh air with new kicks on. Crack King. This is the Crack King Podcast. A breath of fresh air with new kicks on.